The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Zhana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. Okay, now we are back. Yes.
Yeah.
It's been quite a challenge.
Zhana, today we're talking about how to beat holiday stress. At this time of year, we're heading into the holiday season. As I said, Diwali has just ended, and we're coming up to Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year's, and of course, Kwanzaa. How do you beat holiday stress? Please phone in to ask your questions about how to beat holiday stress. Every month we're going to be talking about different areas where we can improve our lives. So this month we're talking about holiday stress. Next month we'll be talking about health. So get ready with your questions for next month. I'm joined today by 3 guests. The 3 Black moms. Barbara Pemmett. Now tell me, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Pemmett. Okay. Cheryl Charles Pemmett, and of course our executive producer here at the Female Solution, Naima Latif. Collectively, they're known as the 3 Black Moms, and they have a regular show on YouTube as 3 Black Moms. Can you tell me, does it come out every week, your show?
Yes, well, we have been doing it on YouTube, and, it's been taped and then it airs on YouTube. But now we're going to be doing it live on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. And so callers will get a chance to, viewers will get a chance to interact. And we've got a response from our Monday host, Zelda, saying, Grand Rising, beautiful 3 Black moms. Great show. So, yes, we will be able to interact. And she said we all look beautiful. Oh, so kind of you. Thank you. She said we look like triplets.
We're all moms.
Yeah, so we're all moms. Yes.
You have very distinguished journalistic and media careers, and as moms, you have all experienced holiday stress, I'm sure. So I'm going to start with you, Naima. I'm going to ask you each a couple of questions and also read a couple of things about how to beat holiday stress. So you're, in addition to being the executive producer of the Female Solution Global Radio and TV Network, you're also president and CEO of the online network of Associated Internet Radio Hosts. In other words, you just work all the time, right?
Yes.
Editor-in-chief of On Air Magazine. So tell me, how do you prepare for the holiday season? First of all, I know that you're a Muslim. Do you celebrate Christmas? And what holidays do you celebrate?
Well, because my family, and we've developed a global family literally now with our children having gone abroad and married people from other continents and all of that. So, my late husband and I, we decided early on, we're just going to focus on family, celebrate everything, celebrate the Muslim holidays, the Christian holidays and birthdays, everything to give us a chance to be more family oriented. And so, even though we never spent a whole lot of money for gifts, I know my sisters probably say, yeah, right, she never, but that's okay. We celebrated the season and we gathered with the family, and it was, always a time of family dinners and things like that. Usually when I was, we were raising my daughter, the people would come to my mother-in-law's house, and that was the family gathering place for the holidays. Now they tend to go to my brother-in-law's house. He's got this great big house out in the suburbs and everything. So, that part of the family tends to go to his house. And now, of course, I'm living in the family house that we grew up in. So when we have big events and everybody comes in town from all over, they celebrate here. And lately, of course, with COVID, we've been even doing some virtual celebrations, which means, less having to clean the house because people aren't going to see it. I'll laugh. But one of the things that I yes. So one of the things, of course, that I do to prepare, it usually is clean the house, because that means people are going to be coming and you don't want to look like your house is lived in, even though it is. So it's cleaning the house and just making sure everybody's schedule is what it is, especially when we deal with people coming in, flying in, or driving in from other cities. And, making sure if yeah, so.
I'm going to read three suggestions from the BBC website. This one is take breaks from group activity. Pay attention to your own feelings and needs, which of course is what we do in NBC. Pay attention to your own needs and feelings. Spend a little time by yourself if you can. The second one is keep a regular sleep, meal, and exercise schedule, and limit your alcohol. And the third is get support if you need it. Holidays can sometimes trigger depression. So, what kind of things do people worry about? What causes us stress and anxiety over the holidays? Particularly, what kinds of things do moms worry about? Tell us one or two examples. You already talked about people coming from different places and making sure that they're arriving at the right time, and you know what time they're arriving and whatnot.
Well, in terms of, when you say what things do moms worry about, I think things change as the ages of your children change. And she was talking about NBC, which is Nonviolent Communication, which is an organization that Zhana's part of. And one of the things that you worry about if you have an infant or a toddler, you worry about things like when you have, are you going to be someplace where they can sleep on time? Otherwise, they get crabby and start crying. And that stresses you out. If they're a toddler, they tend to need your constant attention. They can crawl around, get into things, put something in their mouth, choke. So you always worry about that when you take a toddler to a new location. Sometimes it might not be baby proof, so you worry about those kinds of things as a mom. You worry about, like, if they're the diaper changing phase, you worry about having enough diapers. I remember one time
but I had all the time, right? I mean, it's not just holiday season.
Yeah, that's one of those mom things you worry about. But if you're going to be around a lot of people and you have a young child, sometimes you have to worry about, especially like if you have a child and everybody else is an adult, and you're going into a situation where there are no other children for them to interact with, or no other children their age. You worry about if they're going to be bored, they're going to be cranky, will they have a good time, will they be saying, can we go, that kind of thing. So you worry about if your child is going to have a good time when you have to go someplace, or if it's going to be other children there, will they get along? So we were growing up, I really made a conscious effort, because I depended a lot on my sister Barbara, because I had an only child and she had twins and another older child. So I kind of depend on her to provide that sibling experience for my daughter, because she had, she had step brothers and sisters, but they were already grown by the time she was born. So they weren't like playmates. So that was one of the things that in celebrating the holidays, that I looked to my sister to provide that sibling experience that my daughter would have missed growing up.
Well, talking about stress at the
That's Barbara talking now.
I have to tell you a funny story.
I just want to introduce you first. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'm just gonna ask anybody who wants to chime in. I'm happy for you to chime in, but please say your name. All my guests, all three of you, when you speak, just say your name again, please, so the listeners can tell who's speaking. I was just about to introduce you, Barbara. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What concerns you have coming up to the
I'll start by telling you this funny story. When my kids were really young, I was the kind of mom who was determined to try to get everything on everyone's list and get as much shopping done as I could. I had one day of that shop till you drop days, and I had tons of everything for everybody. And I had started real early in the morning when the store first opened, and it was getting late. And I was so exhausted, I hadn't even stopped to go to the bathroom. I was in this store, in this huge department store, and I saw the sign, men on one side, women on the other, of the bathrooms. And I went straight into the men's bathroom, uh, and was headed toward a stall and did not realize until I saw like three men facing the urinals. And I thought, oh no, I walked right into the men's bathroom. I was so tired. My brain didn't even function and shut off there, and I'm hurrying out of there and going to the right ladies' room. Now, one of the things that I have learned.
Did they notice you? I just wanted, did they notice you on in there?
Over the years with stress, and this will account for all kinds of stress at all different times. Stress happens when you have this perfect list of everything you want to get done, and then something happens to throw everything off, and now you're upset because your list isn't going to be completed. I know that, as you said earlier, exercising is good for relieving stress. You get the serotonin and the dopamine and all that stuff going for you. Journaling is actually very good to take time to do to relieve stress. I know that for me in the past, running has always been a great stress reliever. And because I'm a slow runner, it would take about an hour and a half just to do 5 miles. Now, somebody else could probably walk that distance, but I found, and this is substantiated by research, that just communing with nature really helps you to de-stress. Being outside, getting that vitamin D, breathing in deeply as you walk. I used to do this when I lived in Chicago, walking along the lake, especially during the fall season when the leaves are changing, and you can just really commune with the creator. And I would rest a lot of times and just thinking of different scriptures to meditate on. All those things take away that feeling of, oh, I got to get this done. I'm multitasking. Multitasking is a myth. You will do one thing well, and the other things are not going to be done so well. Now, I asked my husband how he relieves stress, and he said, oh, sleep. So there's always that. And then a lot of times in dealing with stressful situations, getting away from the situation and sleeping on it and coming back puts everything in a completely different perspective. I have found a lot of times that having a group of women friends where you can bounce ideas off of is really a good stress releaser, because you have that small group of girlfriends that are really good for helping you see things in a better light.
Right. So give it a bit of perspective and also some support if someone is hearing you and listening to you, yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah? Okay, I'm going to read a couple more suggestions. And some of these are very similar to what you just said. These are from health.com. One is get some sunshine. It stimulates the production of feel-good serotonin and also helps relieve SAD, which is, a seasonal affective disorder, which impacts millions of Americans every year, and not just Americans, trust me. Judith Orloff, MD, an assistant professor of psychiatry at the University of California at Los Angeles, in other words, UCLA, tells Health to ease SAD symptoms, spend time outdoors or near a window on sunny days, or ask your doctor about phototherapy, a treatment using a box that emits full spectrum light. And in Britain, I think SAD is a lot worse. I never had it when I lived in the States, but you see, it's much darker here. Really, it gets dark really early in the winter time, and it's much darker because you have light in the sky in North America, which I don't know if that comes from the northern lights. I don't know why. But even when it's dark, even when it's nighttime, you have light in the sky in the States. We don't have that here. Okay, here's another suggestion. It's sniff some citrus essential oil. It stimulates the production of feel-good serotonin and also helps relieve SAD. To ease, okay, I think we're repeating ourselves now. Here we go. Researchers studying depression have found that certain citrus fragrances boost feelings of well-being and alleviate stress by upping levels of
norepinephrine.
That's what it is.
Norepinephrine,
I think it is.
Yeah.
A hormone that affects mood. And for an all-day pick-me-up, dab a little lemon or orange essential oil on a handkerchief to tuck in your pocket. So that sounds really good to me. And tell me something, Barbara. How do you find time, in the run-up to the holidays, how do you find time to go running?
I get up very early in the morning, which means I have no life at night. When I lived in Chicago, and I have to just say that I have not gone running in the morning for about 2 years, since before the pandemic. But I do go to a camp it's called the Camp Transformation Center, which is a gym where you do cardio and weight training, and it is a complete workout, since some of the trainers are former military people, so they know how to really work you. So I will go to bed early so that I can get up early, have time to get home, take a shower, and then go to work. One of the most important things in doing that is it gives your mind something else to be thinking about, and not stressing about all the things you have to do. I know I would tease my husband and call him Moses, because he would try to do everything. You get in your mind that no one else can get all these things done as perfectly as you, but it is important to be willing to delegate different aspects of work that have to be done. And it's okay if it's not done perfectly. It's getting done. It's not done the way you would do them, but just release that. Because, for instance, I remember a story of a parent who was worried about her house looking clean. She was going to be watching a bunch of her friends, teenagers. They didn't care whether the house was clean or not. So sometimes you let that go, because the work will be there when you come back.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, this is Cheryl here. And if you I wanted to finally chime in. One of the things that I realize is that we work so hard to make the perfect day, or or get the perfect present. Most of the time, people forget that. And I like Barbara's crazy. Barbara will go out. She's probably she has all her stuff done by August. I see no reason to shop for Christmas before Christmas Eve. Maybe I'll do it like the day before Christmas Eve, because we have church Christmas, Eve at night. But how long is it going to take for you to go out and get a bunch of gift cards? Yeah, really, it's about getting, the house ready, or getting the, yourself ready for family, if you're going to be spending with family. And it's really not about the gifts. It's not, it's sometimes, well, with Thanksgiving, it's about the food. But if you stress about all of this stuff, even when the day comes, you cannot enjoy it. And that's the whole thing, is that I've known people, like, for instance, how women, become bridezillas a lot of time when they get married. By the time they get to that day, their big day, they're not having a good time, because they're so worried about it being the perfect day that they don't have a good time. I had a good time at my wedding, because anything that didn't happen, it was okay. I was still going to be married to my husband at the end of the day. Everybody had a good time. And, and we have to remember that about all the holidays, and that's how you relieve the stress, is don't put the stress on yourself. You could, it's great to exercise. It's great to get out and enjoy the day and enjoy some time. Delegate if you can, and if you can't, let it go. It's okay. Nobody says, oh, you know what, it was going to be really, really good, but Cheryl forgot to put the green beans out, and so now my whole holiday is just ruined. Nobody thinks that. No, only you. And we do that to ourselves. So the way I relieve stress, of course, I'm almost as crazy as Barbara, but not quite, because I end up doing like a lot of the, like, getting the house prepared. I'll do the tree and I'm fussing the whole time because I'm the only one doing it, and I'm not gonna do this anymore because you all don't help me, and blah 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 blah. And this is like Lucy with and Charlie Brown with the football. It's gonna happen, and she's gonna pull it out. And so every time I have to put the tree up, I'm gonna fuss about it, and that's part of the tradition. So, but other than that, I
in your family?
I'm sorry.
Carol?
Yes.
Family, doesn't anybody help you put up the tree?
Because they're lazy. They're lazy. That's it. I have a husband who will bring all the stuff in, and his job is done. And my daughter will put in one branch, and then she's done. So and this is fine, because actually, left to my own devices, I do a better job anyway. But it's just funny because we put all this stress on ourselves, like we have to do it. You know what? If I loved when I went home for Christmas instead of having it at my house. I loved it when I hosted my husband's extended family, and that was fun, even though I had to do everything. But I also loved going home to my mother's house, because I just threw a plastic wreath on the door and I was good. I didn't have to put up anything. I knew I wasn't going to be there. And then when I came back, I took the wreath off the door, and I was good. So, you could do as much or as little as you want. But if you stress about it, you're not having fun, and no one's having fun either. And that's what we forget. No one is having fun.
Ignoring you, trying to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Ignoring you. Okay, I'm going to read you a couple more of these tips. And again, some of these tips are things that both of you have already mentioned. Tip number 1, these are from WebMD. Tip number 1, shop so you don't drop. And they're quoting this woman called Domar, and her ritual is to take a personal day off work in the middle of the first week of December. I hit the mall as soon as the doors open, carrying nothing but an empty backpack and my credit cards, she says. The crowds haven't yet descended. The salespeople are still helpful, and there's plenty of stuff on the shelves. When I've bought too much to carry, I go back to the car, drop it off, and go back in again. And if you see something she really likes, she'll buy one in each color to give to different people who are never going to speak to each other or see each other, so therefore they're never going to know. And the second thing she says is treat yourself. All that hustling and bustling can drain you. Delmar suggests that for every 10 presents you buy for others, you select a little indulgence for yourself. I might go with a little Godiva truffle or a Dave Berry calendar, she says. Nothing expensive, just a little pick-me-up. She also recommends regular exercise and making time for a movie date with your partner, a soak in a hot tub, or a solitary evening of soothing music. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? Now, a lot of these suggestions, it occurs to me, are to do with self-care. So I'm going to ask all three of you, what do you do for self-care when it's coming up to the holidays? Before you answer, I just want to remind everyone listening, please phone in with your questions. If you've got any questions, we are here to provide solutions. The number again is 515-605-9325. If you're outside the United States, it's 001. An 001 in front of it, and then it's 515-605-9325. So I'm going to ask you, Cheryl, but actually anybody who wants to answer this question, where do children fit in the holiday mix? Do they make things more stressful or less stressful? And we've already touched on the fact that it depends what ages they are. It also depends on how many children you have, and what can we expect from slightly older children and tweens up to age 13. So
Okay, I'll start. My daughter is now 22, and I only have the one.
say your name again, please.
I'm sorry?
Your name again, please.
That's
Your
Cheryl.
name?
That's Cheryl.
This is Cheryl.
Okay, hi.
And she and it's easy to shop for her now because all she wants is money, and that's all she's wanted for like the last few years. When she was younger, it was great, and we always overbought. We were older parents, and we were pretty established,
Right.
and we actually became the people we used to make fun of because we would always overbuy. She always had, it wasn't just the stuff under the tree, it was the stuff on the chairs and on the couch. And Christmas was this great big thing. And we were just like way beyond ridiculous. But that's what you get when you only have, one little chick. But as we got older, and I gotta tell people a tip: do not buy too soon, because what will happen is that you will hide those gifts and then forget. And if you should do that, and then they come out later and you go, oh yeah, I remember this. So I and it always happened. And her birthday is in March. So anything that, when you see that you bought too much, save it for their birthday. Whatever it is, it's going to be fine. And then you've already got your shopping done, a la Barbara. But the thing is that as they get older, their needs can become less, and you can kind of rein it in a little bit. And by the time they're tweens, and by the time from the tweens, and they can get gift cards to their favorite stores, and you take it shopping, so they get what they want. And it's a little bit easier to do that, even though it doesn't make it as big of a great picture under the tree. But it's good for them to do that, because then they learn, if you give them a $200 gift card, and they have to go and they want to buy $500 worth of things, and you tell them this is all you're getting, they will learn. And that's also a lesson for them to learn how to budget and learn how to prioritize. And as they get older, you give them
as well, yeah?
Yeah. So there's a little lesson there.
500 and you got 200 you have to save. Yeah?
I'm sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, say that again.
I was just saying that it teaches them how to save.
Oh, it teaches them how to save. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And how to decide, oh, wait a minute, I don't need that thing that costs all of this money. I can get 3 things and still have some money left over. So as they get older, it gets easier. And then when you give them the $500 or whatever, by the time they're old enough to spend it, just say, this is your Christmas, have a good time. And then they won't be constantly asking you for other things, because they've had their Christmas gifts. Like I said, gift cards are good. And gift cards are good for everybody. Gift cards are good, and cash, So the older they get, the easier it gets, because you're not going, if you give them $500 rather than buying them a $500, game system or something like that, and then feeling like you have to buy them something else, you come out on the other, on the winning end. Because also a lot of the stress doesn't really start until January, when the bills come in and you've overspent.
Well, I would like to address the self-care. This is Barbara. And for me, self-care is getting a pedicure. And I always get the super deluxe one, where I can sit there and it takes almost 2 hours to have my feet rubbed, scrubbed, legs massaged, and everything. The only thing better than that is a full body massage, which after a long race, I will definitely get one of those. And in terms of the shopping with my kids, it is different when they are younger. When my kids were younger, I always went to that special sale on Thanksgiving morning, where the store that had cut rate toys had the best deals. And I would go there with my friends, stand in a long line from 6 a.m. in the morning until 9 when the store opened, so that you could get best pick of the ones that were best on sale. And by the way, Thanksgiving is celebrated in Australia, where my son and daughter-in-law and grandchildren live. Their Thanksgiving Day is in May, but I found some great Thanksgiving cards for now, so I sent them those. But in terms of when the kids were younger and we would go shopping, buy things for them, a lot of things that they liked as young children were crafts, those kind of things where they could make things, build stuff, all of that spectrum. And as Cheryl said, when they get older, it is easier to shop for them. They used to write a Christmas list of things that they wanted. Also, when they were younger, we would participate in different nonprofit groups that gave gifts to children overseas. We would build, that little special Christmas box for children overseas, or buy a goat or a chicken for a child that lived in a country where those kind of gifts actually helped to feed their families. So they didn't just learn as young children about getting stuff for themselves, but also inputting into the lives of other children that were not as fortunate as they were. So I like teaching them that kind of lessons when they were younger as well.
Mm.
Yes, so you taught them early about having an awareness of other people. Other people in other countries don't necessarily have all the things that we have.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
True.
Correct. Okay. I'm going to read one more suggestion now that I've got off the internet. Let me see. Here we go. She says, skip the nutcracker. I think this is still from WebMD, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check this. Sorry. Oh, yeah, this is still from WebMD, and it says, skip the nutcracker. And what she's saying is, basically, you don't have to do everything every year. If that is simply too much heresy, go ahead and take in the ballet, but forego the big menorah lighting or the Santa parade or the holiday ice show. The point is, don't drag yourself or your family from event to event. Think quality, not quantity. And she's saying, allow each child to pick 2 events as must-dos. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, Zhana.
You didn't choose which events you want to go to?
Zhana, this is Naima, of course.
Hi, Naima.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. My sisters have turned into our mother, and I remember growing up. Every holiday, our mother she went through the whole frantic thing, getting up early and preparing the food and fussing the whole day, telling us how lazy we were because we weren't getting up and helping, angry at our father because he wanted to, sit in front of the TV and watch the ball game. And she would fuss and fuss. And every year she would say, this is the last time I'm doing this. This is the last time I'm doing this. Every year. So I'm listening to my sisters say this stuff. They turned into our mother. And they're doing the same thing she did. She would, have to cook the meals and everything and prepare all the stuff. If it was Thanksgiving, she'd have to do all the food preparation. And we just want to watch TV and see the Thanksgiving programs and cartoons and everything else came on the holidays. And my father, he just wanted to watch the ball game. Nobody wanted to do all that stuff. So she'd be fussing through the whole day because she had to prepare for the celebration, and nobody wanted to help because we wanted to just relax and have fun. It's a holiday. And it is so funny listening to them talk about this. I said, they've turned into our mother.
Zhana, this is Cheryl. He is not lying. There is no lie there. We are. We have turned into her. We do fuss the whole time and then turn around and do it again and complain to our friends. Yeah, how terrible it is. Who also have turned into our mother. And then the next year we do it all again. Yes, she is not lying. We are our mother.
Because my youngest sister was living with my parents for a few years. My dad was very old, died in 1994. She kept
Hold on a second. We got an echo here. Hold on a second. I need to close the mic. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Say that again, John.
My my younger sister was looking after my dad until he died. That was a few years ago. And then she looked after my mom until she died, which was a few months ago. And my younger sister used to have to do all the cooking. My mom would invite all these people around for Thanksgiving. But then she didn't do any cooking because she was in her 90s. I don't blame her a bit. Who wants to still be cooking into their 90s? So my younger sister would have to do everything. So over the course of the years, and my older sister would go and help out. So things didn't get too stressful for my younger sister. But over the years, they found ways to cut down on the work. So they found places that would, for example, provide a turkey crown. So you don't have to cook the whole big bird, right? Because there was only 3 of them at that point. They found places where they could order in. So they didn't have to do all this cooking. I mean, me personally, I don't cook anymore. But when I used to cook, I used to love cooking for Thanksgiving. I used to love it. But if you don't love it, don't do it. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, if you don't love it, don't do it. Go to somebody else's house.
Yes, in fact, this is Cheryl. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to do. One of my sisters-in-law used to do it all. Her husband passed this, a few months ago, and she is going to Egypt. And she's going because her son is married to an Egyptian woman. And so they're going so that they can plan to have a formal wedding in Egypt in a couple of years. So she just said, you know what, we're not doing Thanksgiving this year. And I said, well, you know what? We can order. I mean, the grocery stores now, they have the whole thing where you can order the turkey cooked and the fixings. And I can make mac and cheese and my sweet potato, candy sweet potatoes and whatever other sides that I might want. And it's just like, all you have to do is remember to pick the stuff up. And it's so much
stress-free.
It is very freeing. You still get the leftovers that everybody likes. And it's just
right.
Yeah, we just need to stop feeling like we have to do everything.
Follow the tradition.
Yeah.
This is the tradition. We have to do the tradition. And then you stress yourself out, and then if you think about it, that was part of the tradition, the stress. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's right.
But I think the thing about it, Zhana, like you were asking about the children, and I do have to say that my sisters have been really good about providing good memories for the children, because that's really kind of what you want to have. You want to have something that your children can look back on with happiness. You don't want them to remember the fussing and all of that. You want them to remember the time they had fun with their cousins and their siblings, and they played and the food was good. And, you want them to, and if they, they got toys during the Christmas season or whatever the case may be, you want them to remember the bicycle that they got, the toy that they got, and they're playing out in the yard or in the snow or whatever. You want them to remember the fun. That's really emotionally, as an adult, when you have good memories of those special holiday times, that's what gets you through the difficulties when you do have stressful times. And we all have, some of those major issues in our lives where it seems like everything's falling apart, and you just want to go in a cave someplace and hibernate. That life has just gotten too overwhelming. But if you have a memory of a good time as a child, it's almost like resetting a computer. You go back on the history of, if your computer's ever crashed, you go back to the history of it, of the point on your computer that it was organized and it was correct, and then you can reset it. We almost have to kind of do that with yourself, and you can go back to that holiday time, that happy time, that fun memory, and reset your emotional self so that you can maintain some sense of inner peace. So I think that is one thing. I mean, we went through the fussing and the stress of watching our mother go through stress. We had fun. She was stressed. So but making sure that children enjoy it, that's important.
So I was thinking, I believe as adults, we still just we deserve to have some fun. Don't let the children have all the fun. We deserve
play cards, and then sometimes we would have fun, like we play board games or some other kind of silly little games. So I think those are and that's important too. The adults should think about what is fun for them instead of stressing about making, like you say, the perfect day. What would we have fun doing? Because we can play some little silly games. You had some board games and other things like spoons and other, things like that. So the adults can have a fun, silly, happy time and not worry about so much, did I do everything right according to the tradition, so that people can say I'm a, competent mother or wife or whatever. Just have a good time. Yeah.
And I still remember the times after Thanksgiving, or if it was a special occasion and my parents had friends over, and after dinner my dad be sitting down with his mates playing Scrabble or Monopoly. And those are just really lovely memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really lovely memories of sitting playing with friends,
Yeah, and I think another thing also, you always have, some relatives that might be a little difficult temperamentally. It's important to deal with that, because sometimes that's the causer of stress. Like if you've got people who tend to, be a little bit emotional, maybe start an argument or whatever, maybe be a little inebriated, whatever. Those kinds of things can affect the mood in the place. So you have to, if you're the host of a holiday gathering, you have to be conscious of the people who come into your house and what kind of spirit that they're bringing, and make sure that you keep things calm so that things don't get unpleasant, because you want it to be at the end of the day, it's a memory that you're creating, and you want it to be a happy memory, and you want it to be a thing that you can look back on, and you want it to be a thing that you want to do again. So the host kind of has that task.
What we haven't talked about is the sulky teenager. And I was the sulky teenager because I was very deeply unhappy. It wasn't fun to be around when I was a teenager. I was deeply unhappy. These sulky teenagers who don't want to do anything. They don't want to cook. They don't want to go and see the Nutcracker. My mom used to just send my younger sister and me off to see the Nutcracker every year. We didn't have a choice.
You didn't want to go?
Going to the Nutcracker. But you don't want to go to the Nutcracker, and you don't want to, sit and talk to your guests. And so either you could just be genuinely having problems, or you just are being a difficult, uncooperative teenager. It's not really fair to label people that way. But I think you know what I mean.
Well, let me ask my sisters, because we've all had our teenagers go through the teen years. How did you all deal with it when your teenagers got to the point where it wasn't fun doing the things with the family, and you wanted them to have fun and they didn't? They, like Cheryl, your daughter grew up seriously in the cell phone age, when you can't get them to participate and they'd rather be in their phone than have a conversation or participate in the gathering. How do you handle that? Do you let them just be sulky and just say, okay, forget it, you sit in the corner, we're going to have fun over here? Or do you try to make them get involved? What do you do about that?
Well, this is Cheryl. I've got the youngest of the kids, so I was the last one to go through that. And I have to say, my sisters talked me off the ledge plenty of times throughout me raising my daughter. And she has, and we had our difficult times. As I'm not gonna lie, from the age of like 12 to about 18, those, I always call those the dark days, which triggered her, because I would call those that, and I think they still trigger her when I say that. But now she also understands, and she is an amazing human being. But she understands now that she was hormonal. And so if you understand, and there's a good book, I think it's called the Teenage Brain. And if you can read that, you can understand where a lot of those emotions are coming from. And because she was an only child, I wanted, and I knew she wasn't going to have that sibling experience. What I did, and what we did, is that we invited her to invite her friends. And there were plenty of times where we would go somewhere and we would say, if you want to invite whatever best friend or friends that you have, and it might be something you might want to do, and we would take them. We took one of our friends to Florida with us. We took, we would go, when we would go different places, because we knew that she wasn't going to have that sibling experience, and we wanted her to feel the closeness. And who wants to be with two old people all the time when they're teenagers? They don't.
Yeah.
And she, and rather than, and I love kids. I've always loved kids, and always wanted more. But so I didn't mind having her, like, us go to New York and take one of her friends to New York, and those kind of things. And I think that helps, because if you ask them what they want to do, and then kind of say, well, why don't you invite, or you can invite somebody if you'd like to do this. And it helps them to feel a little bit more in control, because everybody feels out of control. And when they're teenagers, they feel like they're between being a kid and being an adult, and they don't feel like they get a say. And sometimes if you just give them a say and say, well, if you want to do this, let's ask your friend, and if they want to go. And then, and I always encouraged her to do that. Even today, if a friend wants to stay over, because she lives at home now that she's graduated, if a friend wants to stay over, fine. It's giving them a little bit of control of their life, and I think that helped us a lot.
Yeah, autonomy, a bit of independence. Yeah, encouraging independence.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Barbara. Girl, my kids drove me crazy, those ages Cheryl is talking about, 12 to 18. My son, John, didn't talk until he went to Japan. His grandmother said, I didn't know John could talk, because you would ask him, it was like, yeah, no. and he looked like a thug. I must have said 20 times a day, pull your pants up, Then he went abroad to Japan when he was in high school and came back a preppy. I was like, who are you and what have you done with my son? So he turned into like a human being after his abroad experience. And then my daughters, they did all kinds of stuff, I can't even tell you the stuff that they did to me. But it seemed that those ages, and then their father was their friend. I was like the bad person, because I was the one that was always getting it. And he was like, oh, you just need to calm down, girls. I'm like, who are you talking to? So it was some amazing, hardest, toughest years of my life, in which I am seriously telling you that I was on my knees every day praying for myself, not just praying for the children. But and today, you would never know it. They are fabulous. They are my two of them are great parents. My son and his twin sister. They are great parents, and I am amazed, because obviously something that I did that was good, they picked up on that part. And I think that just as children going through those stages during the holidays, they seem to do well with their cousins. We would play the kind of inclusive game where they had to participate. They liked board games. They liked things like where you had to guess what is that pantomime game where you
charades.
They liked those kind of games. And we would always have like white elephant prizes, so it was fun for everybody sitting around at Christmas time to get those kind of crazy gifts that nobody wanted. But I don't know, those kind of things kind of built camaraderie with them. There wasn't too much of that, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be with the family, I don't want to do that thing with you. They kind of enjoyed those moments.
Okay, can I just jump in here? This is Cheryl. I just have to jump in here because I have to defend my nephew. John and his grandmother, our mother, came to see me in Boston when he was 14 years old, and he was absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
He was, and this is the thing, is that we always have to remember with our children that we forget, because they act so ugly everywhere with us, is that they are not the same people when they are out in public. They are wonderful. I don't care. Even during the dark times, you almost never hear. I never once heard of anyone saying anything other than Sarah was wonderful. And that's the thing is, and that and all of her friends that their mothers were ready to like tear their hair out. They were always lovely. Sarah usually acted the ugly one then, but you know, our children are not who they are with us, you know, that they are with other people. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. And so, and I know John was monosyllabic back then at home, but he had a good time when he came here. We went to upstate New York. We went out to dinner the whole time. He thought that was wonderful. He thought that made me rich. Actually, it just made me lazy because I don't like to cook. But that's the thing is that so even when you're thinking, oh, you know, I can't let this person, you know, I need to put them in a cave, you know, for 5 or 6 years. They're lovely people when they're elsewhere.
You know, that is true though. Your children are themselves when they're with you, but they're on their good behavior when they're with other people. So that's one good thing about parenting generally, is that if you have raised them right, even if they give you a hard time, they will always take what you tell them and apply it when they're in other people's homes. But we got to take one last break and then we'll come right back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 so we know you have something to say. We can open your mic and get your thoughts. And if you want to join us live on Facebook, you can go to The Female Solution on Facebook. And again, if you're on our switchboard now, just press 1, and that lets us know you have something you'd like to share. We are with our host, Zhana, live from London, talking to 3 Black moms on dealing with holiday stress. And we want you to look forward to the upcoming live show, 3 Black Moms, coming to YouTube and Facebook live on 3 Black Moms channel. Sundays, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Look for it. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/TheMediaConnectionTV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their stories to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on Cable TV Channel 19 in Chicago. And other cities, check your local cable list. Tune in to Social Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear great topics and stories on grief and turn it into victory. Join Dr. Debbie Green to listen to stories of triumph and learn how to overcome. You are not alone in your life, and there is hope in the darkest hour. This is your time to learn strategies and solutions to improve your life. It's your time. So join Dr. Debbie Green with Soulful Solutions and call in on Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 515-605-9325 with comments and questions. Look to hear from you real soon. Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Life transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Zhana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on Relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
And we're back.
And we're back. So, who is it? Was it Cheryl? Was it you that were saying you were on your knees every day at one point, praying?
I think that was Barbara that was praying.
I'm the one with the 3 children. Yes, I have an older daughter and then I have twins. My oldest daughter is now 35 and my twins are 31. So we've got a fabulous history behind us, but I remember those tumultuous days of teenagehood, and now they've turned into such wonderful people. You could tell I must be talking about 3 other children.
But you know, they actually everybody's children really did turn out well. I've watched Barbara's daughter, just an amazing mother, so very patient with her young son, you know, and you know, all of them, with all the things that children go through, all of our children have been they're very balanced, very calm, very peaceful. Now it could be that they've decided to be opposite of what we are, since we were so insane. They said, okay, now we know how to not be, so we're gonna be less crazy. I don't know, maybe that's it. I don't know if we set the example of what to be or what not to be, but they turned out well, all of them somehow. But you know, I think one of the things that we learned basically is that if you connect with your family, there's always a sense of being that you're not alone. And I think that's one of the things that the holidays help. What's sad is that when people get abandoned and when they're maybe older and people forget, or maybe they didn't have children and nobody remembers to invite them to things or ask them how they're doing or even call. So that's one of the things that I would say is important. All of us, I mean, we have these crazy memories, and we talk about a lot of it on our show, 3 Black Moms. But we had each other, and that was one of the things that kind of gets you through your childhood. You have it, and that's why having that sibling experience is important. For all of us. My daughter kind of grew up sort of an only child because her siblings were so much older from my husband's first marriage. But you know, she spent a lot of time with my sister's children. We visited Cheryl every year in Boston, and then of course Barbara was living in Chicago when our children were growing up. So it's important to be connected. And that's one thing the holidays help you do. I think what's difficult is if someone who is essential to the family, maybe, you know, a parent or a spouse, whatever, when they pass away and you really notice their absence during a holiday, and that sometimes can affect how you feel. But you get through it if you've got your other family members. It's hard if you just had that one person and they're gone and you're by yourself. If people don't remember to call you or invite you to dinner or you make you feel part of the family. So that's what we have to remember to do. Remember those who might be alone because everybody in their life is gone.
You know, I was going to also say that during the time that my husband was in seminary and we were living on a college campus, over the holidays, they encourage couples to invite students who lived in other countries who would not be able to go home for the holidays. And we started doing this thing where we invited other students who maybe their folks were from Europe or, you know, Asia or something. We would have them over for Thanksgiving, and we would have what we call random gifts, just gifts that I bought that they could open. We didn't know what they were, but we just called them, oh, random gifts for people who were not part of our family, but were invited to come and celebrate with us. And that was fun.
That's really nice.
Yeah, we had a caller here. I think their call dropped. Let me see.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll maybe call. I think their call just dropped.
I haven't even been paying attention to the switchboard. Hi.
Yeah, hold. Their call just dropped. I'm gonna try to get them back. Yeah, sometimes that can happen because they look like they were. Well, it was a different area code, so it might have been from Canada, but we'll see when they call back in and open their mic. Yes. So one of
please call back. Please call back. We want to hear from you. Definitely. Okay, so Naima, while we're waiting for the caller to call back, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Which is that I don't know a lot about Muslim holidays like Eid or Ramadan. Well, Ramadan's obviously a fast, but do people get stressed about those things as well?
You know, it's an interesting thing because Ramadan, I mean, that's a whole 30 days of a whole, like, I guess you say daily ritual. I mean, it was a way that really kind of brought my family together, the Muslim factions of my family, you know, my husband and his children from his first marriage and you know, my daughter and then of course our Muslim community, because it's a whole process. Every day you're getting up before dawn to eat a meal, and then you go the whole day, no food, no water, and then you have a meal at sunset. So it's a kind of a fun thing, and you know, it's sort of, in a way, it kind of connected you with a global family, because you would meet people on the street and you know they're Muslim, you know we're all sharing this thing, we're all walking around hungry and talking about being hungry and everything. It's kind of funny, you know, but the whole thing is it does connect you to a wider family of people that are going through this process of kind of a spiritual cleansing, to remind you that there are people who are starving because they can't eat or they can't drink. So it reminds you to be more generous, more charitable, and then gathering for the feast afterwards. Usually they're big celebration at someone's home or at the mosque or both. So it was a bonding thing. I think the only stressor in that situation, because I'm a very public person and I do a lot of things throughout the day. And sometimes you got events where, you know, a banquet or something, or people want to meet you for lunch or dinner, and having to explain, well, you know, I'm not eating yet, or I'm fasting. You know, my friends would feel bad if we have a meeting at a restaurant and I'm sitting there with no food and no water, you know, and they, well, don't you, I mean, can't you just, you know, eat a little something, you know, they would feel bad. I'm like, no, I'm fine, you know, and so that could be a little bit stressful if everybody's eating and you're not, because you're, you know, observing the fast. So I used to kind of wrestle with that a bit. Okay, should I just like not go to things so people don't feel uncomfortable because I'm not eating? And then you realize how many of the things you do surround eating. So if you're at your house, you have to remember not to keep going to the refrigerator every time you sit down to watch television, because that's a habitual thing. So that's one of the things around that particular practice Ramadan, and then, you know, Eid with the celebration. And that's always fun. You know, you dress up, you meet people, and you have the big banquet and dinner and everything. So the other thing, we had to kind of go through, well, how are we going to do the gift giving? Because we would give gifts on Eid, but if people who are not Muslim are like, well, what's this about? You know, oh, we have Eid, and you know, blah blah blah. You try to explain all that. And but then we just decide, okay, we'll just give the Christians, we'll just give them their gifts on Christmas, and the Muslims will give them their gifts on Eid, and then that way we don't have a thing. Because we had some years where we're like, well, okay, we're not celebrating Christmas, but then people are giving us gifts, so should we not give gifts? Should we give gifts? If we don't give gifts, people get mad, you know. And my daughter, she just kind of decided, well, look, you know, I want to make sure everybody's happy, so she would want to give gifts for whichever holiday it is. She's going to give the gifts. You know, she gives Christmas gifts, she gives birthday gifts, she gives Eid gifts. She, you know, she's a giving spirit. So for her, she just decided to not stress about it. Just give the gifts. Whatever your holiday is, I'll give you a gift. The birthday, I give you a gift. It's Christmas, I give you a gift. It's Eid, I'll give you a gift, because just, you know, I'm respecting whatever it is you want to feel from me as a token of my, you know, affection for you, whatever. But sometimes it was.
Did that work?
Yeah, that eventually that worked. I mean, it took some time to figure out how to make it work. And during the years, we couldn't figure out what to do. You know, there were times when my husband's family felt a little bit like, okay, we're giving you these expensive Christmas gifts and you're not celebrating Christmas. And he would always say, well, don't buy us anything. But you'd feel bad, because if you gather for the family gathering and everybody's exchanging gifts, people are going to feel bad if they don't give you anything. But if you don't give them anything, then you kind of feel bad. It's like, wait a minute, they gave me something and I didn't give them something. So, you know, we went through some different years of trying to be balanced. And so now, you know, what I would and then I talked to a friend of mine from Africa, you know, a Nigerian friend. She said, well, you know, in my country, we just celebrate everything. You know, whatever it is, hey, there's a reason for a party. Okay, you're Christian, we all go to a Christian party. The Christians come to Muslim parties. Everybody just party. We don't care what it is, you know. So you're making it such a big deal. And I thought about that. I said, that makes a lot of sense. Why are you stressing? Well, this is my holiday, it's not yours. This is yours and not mine. Just go have fun, give the gifts, eat the food, you know, and don't worry about it. So I think that's the best philosophy on that.
Apparently they do that in India as well. They celebrate, you know, Muslim holidays, Christian holidays. But I do think there is a danger there of sometimes things beginning to lose their meaning a little bit. People kind of forget sometimes what the true meaning of the holiday is. So I do think we have to be careful. I mean, it's really nice to have a thing where, like, everybody's included. Yeah, we're all inclusive. I think that's lovely. But I also think we have to be a bit careful sometimes to make sure that the holidays don't lose their meaning.
Well, you know, that's another thing, because I always think about the Charlie Brown, that you know, cartoon, the Charlie Brown Christmas. I don't know if you've seen that, Zhana, probably so. But the whole thing about Christmas not being so commercialized and everything, you can make it, everything ends up being commercialized in a commercial world. Even Eid is commercialized now. Because now more people know about Muslims, so they figured out how to, well, buy your Eid card or buy your Eid gift or buy your new Eid outfit. So they figured out how to commercialize every holiday. I think we should always know that a holiday should always be about showing love, encouraging family, including people who may not have family, bringing joy. That should be ultimately the reason for every celebration that we're having, because every religion, at the core of it, it's about love. So that should always be at the foundation of whatever we celebrate. It's about love. And so once our family realized that, then we just decided we're not going to stress about, you know, the religion. And matter of fact, my daughter, I think she ended up celebrating everything, because my brother-in-law, he went all out for everything. If it was Halloween, he wrapped up, you know, bags of candy to give to the children and put out big pumpkins and all that. He was really into it. If it was Easter, he'd really be into coloring the eggs and all that. If it's Christmas, he'd be really into decorating the tree. And so we lived in a two family home. We lived upstairs and my mother and brother-in-law lived downstairs. And through my brother-in-law downstairs, Kevin, my daughter's a kid. She experienced every kind of holiday, every celebration, all the fun children things. So she really didn't miss anything. And plus, visiting my sisters and everything. So I think she kind of had more of a holistic view of celebrations and holidays, that it's all about having fun with the children, having fun with your family, and not so much the religious aspects of it, or excluding these people because they're not of this and you're of that. I think she was able to grow out of that thought so that it didn't become a stressful thing. It's just have a good time with your family and the people you love, and show your love, exchange gifts, and have a good time. That's she learned that.
Yeah, this is Cheryl. I just want to jump in here on this idea, because a lot of times when we celebrate holidays that are not our own, we're also learning. Everybody's talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And like, I have people from different religions in my family. I mean, I can defend Islam because I'm Muslim adjacent, and I can understand that. I've actually, I'm a United Methodist, and I have preached on Ramadan at my church. I'm a lay leader. And so, because I wanted to educate people when we see, and I said, okay, this is the way I interpret the thing that says, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. Okay, that means that there are places for everyone, and that and even though Jesus is saying, okay, I'm preparing a place for you. Well, who's to say that other people aren't preparing for other people? Next year, I believe I have a bat mitzvah to go to, because she is my step grand niece. Is Jewish. And so, yeah, it gets, you know what? I claim everybody.
Yeah.
So she's going to be bat mitzvahed. And when Sarah was younger, she went to a lot of quinceañeras, which is when young women in the Latina community turned 15. And she went to a lot of those. So she, of course, had to have her sweet 16, which isn't religious. It's just a party. But that's the thing, is that the more that we celebrate other people's religions, cultures, community, the more we learn about each other. And then, if it's a gift giving thing, that's great. If it's not, and you go there and you eat the food and you learn about other cultures, then we're not so afraid of each other.
Right.
And this is Barbara. I totally agree with what Cheryl just said. We went to my niece's bat mitzvah. We were able to visit at not a temple, but a house of worship for Jewish people a number of times, and actually understand how they view Old Testament scriptures. And we've had so many opportunities. I remember when my youngest daughter's best friend had her quinceañera, and I thought, oh, okay, that dress that you spent all that money on, you better get married in that dress, because that was really, it was like a wedding for 15-year-olds. But just being able to celebrate with your friends, their culture, their likes, their loves, it helps you to be united in the things that you share that are the same. I mean, my women's group, we had all different cultures celebrated when we would get together during our teenage daughters' years. We got together as a women's group to pray for our daughters during those tumultuous teen times. And that's really what brought us through, was us getting together once a month for lunch, praying for our kids, talking about our kids. They called us the gossipers, but we really were concerned for our girls' welfare and the things they were going through while they were in high school. It was a help.
Right. And that's when they need to be able to talk to adults, but a lot of times, they don't feel able to, or they don't feel like, they can or something. So it's so important to have that. It's so important to have that. Apparently, I did a retreat once many years ago in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian tradition apparently is that when a girl reaches puberty, they have this big sort of gathering for her, and all the elderly women in particular are there, and they have to answer any questions that the young woman wants to ask them.
Oh,
It doesn't
that's
matter
interesting.
what it is. I mean, when I say any question, I mean any question. Yeah. And it's such a good way, I think, of welcoming a young adult into the community because she's not a child anymore.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good
practice.
to have. Yeah, good practice. I think it kind of joins the generations. That's good. And I think also one good thing about holidays, it's because see, we didn't really grow up with our grandparents because they lived so far away. They were down south. I think we maybe saw them once every 5, 6, 10 years. But usually for families, that's the time when the generations get together. You see the grandparents, you see the aunts, and different people that you may not often see. So that's a kind of a way to establish a relationship. We got cousins that's the time when they would come over. Brenda and her family. So it does at least keep the connections so that your extended family isn't strange to you. It gives you a reason to gather, and for that reason, that's one of the reasons why my family decided to not worry about whether or not something was our religion or not our religion. Just take advantage of the family gathering, because your family is your family regardless of what beliefs are or anything, and just value that. And I think that's why all our children turned out well, I think, because we did really instill those values of family in them, and so they could see that that's what's the most important thing.
So unfortunately, our 2 hours together are drawing to a close now. Did that caller ever come back? Really sorry I missed that caller.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did not. Yes.
Okay, but it's been so delightful having all 3 of you on the show, and also learning a bit more about your family, Naima.
Yes.
So you guys have got to come back soon.
Oh, absolutely. And we do want you all to tune in and watch us on Facebook Live, the 3 Black Moms, and on our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms. We will be live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Eastern. And of course, just
remember to turn your clocks back an hour.
Right. Tonight. Yes. Turn them back tonight. And of course, join us for 30 minutes of conversation. You can go to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms, and like us on Facebook, 3 Black Moms.
Next week.
All right.
Next week, next month, this is Zhana from the Success Strategy Show. Next month, we're going to be talking about health issues. So if you've got any health issues that you want some advice about, please phone in. And there'll be more about this on the same channel very soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archives at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Lanyaban, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Jean Kujo, France, Merci, Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, medasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Nyabonga. Senegal, Gere. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.